The lead compounding effect, what it is, how it affects your business, and how you can consistently hit $40,000 a month by leveraging this. I'm going to be breaking this down in this video. I'm going to show you exactly what agents are doing to consistently write 30, 40, 50K a month and how it affects their overall decision making when it comes to scaling their agency. My name is Trey. I'm the owner of Agent Lead Lab. In the past 3.5 years, we've helped 550 agents issue pay, not AP, issue pay $40,000 per month. So this video, I like to just break down on this channel kind of the thought processes, the behaviors, and how our agents are consistently doing it. So today I'm going to be hopping in and talking about something I think is super valuable. So let's dive right in. All right. So first things first, we'll talk about the compounding effect. All right. So the name of this is obviously the power of lead compounding, but let's talk about compounding effect in general, right? So the compounding effect, often called the eighth wonder of the world by Albert Einstein, is a phenomenon where a value's growth accelerates over time because the earnings or results generated are reinvested to generate their own additional earnings or results. This creates the exponential snowball effect, right? This applies to both finances and personal development. Now, I'm a firm believer. We're just going to take this and we're going to put this at the top of our discussion today. Okay, so once this hops back over here. Boom. Okay, cool. So let's talk about how this is related to leads. All right. So most people, when they buy leads, they do two things. Okay. So you guys know I talk about this. There's leasing and there's ownership. All right. And for those of you who are new to the channel or have never heard me say this, okay, essentially what leasing is you are just buying leads from a lead vendor. I have a lead generation business. We sell leads. So that's his leasing. If you come to me and say, Trey, I want age leads. I want these leads. I want that lead, right? And I do not want to create my own system. I don't want to hire a team. I don't want to build an infrastructure. I don't want to have my own intellectual property. That's fine. There's been plenty of people who've built a lot of successful businesses doing that. That is called leasing, right? Ownership is when you hire, train, staff, and own, right? The intellectual property, we call that IP, data, and backend processes to your internal lead generation process. Okay. Now, many people don't understand this concept. They think, oh, okay, yeah, I'm buying from a lead vendor, so I'm doing my own thing. I got somebody I'm working with. It's like, that's not really it. Like, are you hiring a staff? Are you paying them a retainer? Are you getting the leads at the cost that they are to be generated? If you're not, then you're not owning them. You're still leasing. Just let's call spade a spade, right? The intellectual property piece is super important. Now you're asking like, Trey, okay, what does this have to do with compounding effect? It's actually super important. So one of the things that you do with this definition, right? It's a phenomenon where a value's growth accelerates over time because the earnings or results generated are reinvested to generate their own additional earnings. So basically, I put a dollar in, that dollar can make me another dollar over time, right? Because it compounds. That's the benefit. Now, you are unable to do this with leasing. It's not possible, right? Let's talk about why it's not possible. Because when you are leasing or buying from a lead vendor, here's what's happening. They're running ads on their Facebook page. Okay? That's what we do. We run ads on our Facebook page. For some people, they don't want the hassle. That's fine. If that's you, that's great. A lot of this video will probably not be for you. But if you are the person who's like, I want to own this thing, right? Then you need to, right? Run ads on your own Facebook page. Okay. And when I say your Facebook page, I do not mean they need to be ran inside of your account. Like that does go tie into the intellectual property. But I'm just talking about the compounding effect of leads. We're not talking about the compounding effect of everything. This is just the concept, right? Leasing versus ownership are the concepts. Today we are talking about, right? Lead compounding effect. Okay. And if you do not run from your page, or when I say your page, something that you created, right? You created, have access to, can respond, /post, etc. Then you are not gaining all aspects or any parts of lead compounding effect. You're probably like, okay, explain this to me. Cool. So when you run ads, and I'm using Facebook, it doesn't matter. It can be any platform, Facebook, YouTube. When the person sees the ad, so I'm watching something and I'm scrolling on my Instagram or I'm on Facebook or I'm on YouTube and I see an ad and it says, hey, I got this Vaseline right here. Hey, if you want some Vaseline, you should do XYZ. This has nothing on it, by the way. Y'all, has nothing on it. And it says, hey, if you want Vaseline, click here to get information. You're probably like, cool, it's Vaseline. Let's say you click on it, you buy a jar, you don't really care, you just want the benefits of what the thing gets you. That's what most ads are. You're a life insurance agent, you run a final expense, mortgage protection, IUL. I think that's amazing. You're running IUL ads, right? Tax-free retirement, becoming your own bank, leveraging life insurance to get assets. Okay, final expense burial plans, cremation. These are all the things. I'm just using keywords. I'm trying to be cheesy here because it doesn't matter. The goal is like these people are looking for the outcome. So when they're looking for that outcome, they're going to opt in, right? Because why do people opt in, right? People opt in because outcomes. That's what they opt in for. They opt in because of outcome. That's it. The desired end result. That's what gets the opt in. That's what people are looking for, right? So when they opt in, or if they choose not to opt in, they are buying into the outcome. Now, that's why you can work leads and still make money, because if they're looking for the outcome, you're just a person that's going to help them get to that desired outcome that they opted into. You basically call them to confirm that that's what they were looking for, and then you do your job to place them. That's the beautiful thing about being a life insurance agent. You don't need to brand it. I could not do that if somebody else is running an offer for them to be able to do lead generation. I can't. I guess I can, but it would be very difficult for me to buy their leads and work their leads, because the client that opted into their thing. It was a desired outcome, yes, but they may have thought about that outcome differently based on the way that they pitched it. So if the desired outcome for me, for example, is if you work with me at Agent Lead Lab, I will help you design your own in-house marketing system. Basically, you will hire us to come in and create this infrastructure for you. You own it. We just work. That's it. That is very different than me saying, hey, I'm going to build you this AI platform where it's going to set and book appointments, right? Because the desired outcome for this one is ownership. The desired outcome for this one is just booked appointments. Now, could you call that person and still find a way to pitch them? Yes, but if I just call them up, I'm not going to be able to one call close them. Two, it's going to be like, okay, wait, why is this different than what I originally filled out? Let me hear what you have to offer. I may or may not be interested, but life insurance, it doesn't matter. If I run an ad and it says, hey, you're going to, leverage life insurance to protect your home, and you run an ad and it says leverage life insurance to protect your home, they could care less where it comes from. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is that when you run those ads, what page or brand are they seeing? I talk about branding a lot. I talk about equity, what I call equity advertising, which is our coin basically for how you can gain a 20% increase in conversion rate just by branding. That's why you see so many people talking about it. But like our thought process is, okay, if you don't own that brand, and it's not branding, once again, I say this all the time, it is not branding in the traditional sense. If you not own it, you cannot compound, right? So the benefit of the compounding is that every dollar that you get, right, builds on top of another dollar. So what that would look like is, let's say everybody knows about $50 a day ad spend. Everybody knows what that is. It's really simple. Ad spend on Meta, Google, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Okay? Let's say you're running that to a general Facebook page. When I say general Facebook page, I mean that like it's a lead vendor running it on your behalf. Understand, guys, if you buy leads from somebody or if you run ads yourself, they're all still the same process. The only difference is the person who's running the ads and the person who's buying the leads is the person that's running the ads just knows the numbers better and can then make a calculated decision on what he wants to charge you. That's it. They're just better at knowing what that is. It's like, hey, if I put $50 in here, I have a higher risk tolerance. So I'd be willing to say, hey, I'll give you, 30 leads for $2,000. It only cost me $1,500 to generate. So I make a $500 profit. That's typically how people run their organization, run their business. They say, hey, I'm going to put this much in, I'll get this much out, we're good. And then that's how they think about it. So when they sell you leads, that's all they're doing. Like, just being honest, that's how it works. It's really simple. But people don't want to have to put their money up because they don't like the fact that they don't know what it is. So that's the only difference. The people who are running ads or doing traffic, they're just people that are willing to be like, hey, I'm willing to take a risk and I don't know what it's going to bear. And I may or may not lose money, but I'm betting on myself because I feel confident in numbers. That's it. And the ones that go out of business don't understand that. They can't provide enough value because theoretically, you don't really lose money and you should be making money. If you're doing a good job, you should be making money. Because if you pay me to run your ads, I can take that money and make more money from a smaller margin, take my cut, and you'll be fine. But that's why people are afraid to do that. Like transparently, even me, when I started, I didn't like my first 5 or 6 months. I was like, hey, dude, just pay me a fee. And we put the money towards the ads because I'm not sure what I could get. Now I'm very confident. Like, I'm like, okay, if I put this much in, I know what I can get. I know what agents can sell because I work with agents and agencies all the time. I get their feedback. I internalize that. I'm like, okay, here's how we can make adjustments. I hear what people are saying. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because when you're running ads or you're buying leads, the process is still the same on the back end. The difference is that if you're buying the lead, you don't get the compounding effect. If you're running the ads, you do. So what is the compounding effect? It took 11 minutes to get here. So the compounding effect is essentially this, right? Compounding lead effect is this. It's for every dollar you put in, you get the ability to have more money output via, here it is, SMS, email, and Facebook. I'm going to say Facebook, my bad. Page algorithm. Because it could be for any page. It could be for LinkedIn, Google, YouTube. It doesn't matter. Outreach. Here's the key. Here's what people do not know. And it blows my mind. If you are running ads from your page and you are an agent or an agency or you are working with a company who's doing that, it would behoove you to have them go to all the comments, all the likes, and personally, you'd hire a VA, personally reach out to every single person who's responded. Why? That's free leads. Free leads. What does that mean? There are people who like your page who do not opt in. They share your post, but do not opt in. They comment on your Facebook or follow your Facebook page and do not opt in. If you have somebody, you could just do a little social media appointment setter whose whole job is to take impressions, responses, respond back to people, and grab a few leads here and there, that is drastic. Let me give you an example. Okay. So let's say you have 10 people who comment on your ads over a 1 week time span. That's really low. But let's just say it's 10 people. Let's say you convert half into opt-ins. Now here's the thing. I'm gonna call them opt-in conversations. Here's the difference. When somebody opts in, you don't guarantee that you can get in contact with them. If you can get somebody to respond to your initial message on your outreach and you get them meaning you convert half those people into opt-ins and then you close half, that's literally 2.5 policies. Now, here's the thing. This is basically, not fully, this is basically the hottest possible lead because they didn't opt in because they didn't want to. You commented it, got in contact with them, DM'd them, got on a call with them, was like, hey, look, like I'm an advisor here, blah, blah, blah. You're probably going to close them. Guess what else is going to happen? You're then going to close them and say, hey, I know you really like this. If you could go back and reshare that with all your friends and family and let them know, guess what you're going to get? So you're going to close half of those. You're going to take those 10 people. You're going to have 10 people. And then of those 10, with 5 conversations, you're also going to have 2, let's just call it 2 closes to keep it simple. And then let's say half, so 50% share. And by share, I mean with friends, family, and actual Facebook page. If they share with 10 people, let's say they have the average person, let's just look this up. I don't know what this is. Right? The average Facebook user has how many friends? Let's see. 338 friends. Let's just say that they have 338 friends. And of those 338 friends, let's just say that you convert 1%. 1%. That's really bad. Let's just say 33 people like, comment, share, or potentially opt in. Now, in the real world, I would say maybe 3 opt in. Maybe like 10% of that would probably opt in. So you get 3 people that opted in off of 10 people on your conversation. So you closed 2 deals for free, basically. Like you paid for the ad. So you closed 2 more deals off of 10 comments, likes, responses. You then got some referrals. So you got 338 friends. So 33 people, let's say 1% of that actually converts into 33 people like liking, comment, sharing, potentially. Let's just say worst case scenario that 3 people, so 10% of those people actually opt in or engage. We'll call opt in or engage, right? And then you close half. So that's 1.5. But in other words, we'll just call one more close. You basically have closed 3 people off of 10 conversations. And then you rinse and repeat this cycle for every person. You take their friends, you do the same thing. Now this is so skewed because there's so many other factors that play into this that can be leveraged. But here's the best part. If you don't have your own internal lead system and you're not leveraging this with people that can teach you this, hire the staff, train them, show you how to work this process properly, you're losing out on free. This is the definition of free money. Literally, like, if you close 3 policies and let's say the average policy of let's say the worst case scenario is $800, that's $2,400 bucks. Even if you hire a VA for $200 a week, that's $800 a month. If you're doing this every week, if you're closing, let's just call it 3 policies a week off of just cold conversion traffic based off of the fact that you have the lead compounding effect, that's 12 more policies a month. Even if you start your new agents on this process, you're printing. If you say, hey, look, I got these leads. The VA reached out to them. You're following up with them. You're getting on a call with them. You got 12 closes you should be getting per month. Let's just call it 10, worst case scenario. 10 closes based off the numbers I just gave you, right? If you have 10 closes, that's going to give somebody 10K. Guess what they can do? Reinvest it so you can spend more because these numbers are low. I just threw 10 out there. If you're spending $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000, right, a month, if not upwards of like $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a week, how many more people do you think are commenting, responding? And remember, because we're doing life insurance, this is not niche. It's not like me. I'm not looking for life insurance agents or business owners. You're looking for everyday middle-class Americans. That's it. This is only for one lead type that's only spending a certain amount. If you are doing this over months or years, you are like, there's money being on the table. And if you're not leveraging the lead compounding effect to help you make 40K a month as an agent, or more importantly, as an agency owner, because these numbers, I would say safely can easily double or triple just based off the fact if you have more people spending money on ads, you're going to have more people see it, which means more people will like, comment, subscribe, and more people for you to reach out to. You can create a whole division of this completely off of just hiring somebody to work this. This is how companies are built because you start having people who are doing specific tasks within something that's already working. Like you're not trying to recreate this and figure out like, oh, okay, well, I need to go. Like most people are like, well, I'm gonna hire a VA. And it's like, all right, well, how many leads are they working? Can you have them do other things? Because if I had a VA and all they were doing is just doing cold outreach, I'd have them doing more. Just like our team. Like when we do outreach, we're not like, hey, you're just doing outreach. I think that's cool. But it's like in the life insurance space, the name of the game is opportunities and sales. It's not like infrastructure. Like once you get your lead gen down, it's not much to it. Like even us, like with our clients, like once we get them up and rolling, that's why we do 3 months. After that, it's like, hey, we're pretty much consistent. We just have to make sure that nothing messes up and that you can scale properly and you know how to, which is really where people struggle because they'll have an agency and they'll be like, hey, like we want to scale or we want to bring our whole team on. And that's where we come in. Because it's easy. Like that's why so many people do the easy stuff. Like it's easy to set up one campaign for one person and brand one person. That's like walking in the park. And okay, cool. We got your ads up. You're good to go. And I think that's why people are losing the value in that because inherently people are like, I need more. I want something that's going to actually solve problems. I don't just want something that I can just whoop-de-doo real quick. And this is a way that you can do that because now you have numbers to correspond with what's actually happening. So you allow yourself to gain leverage. And the compounding effect with leads is that's it. It's just leverage. It's simply just leverage. Even if these numbers are worse, like if you close one person a week, it's still worth it. To me, it's all worth it because they're free leads that you wouldn't get otherwise. You're still paying the same amount of money on ads, going back to the first thing I said. That's why I started with that. You are still paying the same amount of things. If you're leasing, you're just doing this and all that information is going to another company, which is also not probably doing anything with it. So if they're not doing anything with it, it's like, why wouldn't you do something with it yourself? Because you're still going to spend the money regardless. Here's the problem. People don't want to invest. They don't want to hire staff. And then because they look at it wrong. They look at buying leads the wrong way. They think that it's about buying leads. It's about, if you are a business owner, you don't buy leads, you generate leads. You don't buy marketing, you do marketing, you run marketing, you hire people for marketing. That's how companies are set up. That's how you should develop a business. You don't develop a business by buying leads. You just buy leads to buy leads. If you want to sell, fine. If you want to grow, you got to own. It's super simple. And I think people thought that will work, but I've literally worked with so many agency owners in this space, big guys that people think are just like on top of the world, making all this money. And dude, even if they are making halfway decent bread, like they have to keep bringing in more agents because they don't have an infrastructure. They don't get paid multiple ways. They don't own any of their intellectual property. And on top of that, they're running leads, or their team is running leads. They're scaling up the leaderboard, and then they're like, oh, I got to go get more directs. I got to go do this. It's like, bro, you're not really making cheese. Like, you're making cheese, but you're not. I think it's mind-blowing, too, that in the life insurance space, you can say on paper that you have an agency doing whatever a month, and it's like, but you may not be making dirt. Because if your team, if you don't have splits, then you can't really grow. Like, I don't see how you can grow without splits. Like, you can, but you need to find other ways. Most agency owners, they're not as profitable as people think they are. And I'm not trying to trash them because like I plan on starting an agency at 1.2. Just like I don't try to trash lead vendors because I sell leads. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just letting you know what process is actually available for those people who are willing to grow. But you have to be willing to pay because nobody's going to do this and set this stuff up for you, run ads, deal with your crap, right? A lot of these agents suck, honestly. Like, they're just not good. And I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, if you don't do the things that are necessary, you can't grow. It's like, in my mind, every day that goes by, I'm like, I'm going to tighten up what is required for us to partner with people, right? It's like, if you're not making a certain amount a month, it just doesn't make sense for you to work with us because you don't even have, like, you lack the skills to be able to get there. And that's my thing is like, if you're not making, over this certain amount, you don't even really have the skill set or you're not ready to grow yet. You may want all these things, but until you can get there in your own capacity, it's like my mentor told me, he's like, yeah, if you don't make over $100,000, you and I can't work together. Like, if your business is not making over $100,000 a month, there's no point in us communicating because you don't even have the skill set when I give you something to do that you're going to know how to go implement it. You're just going to be like, oh, well, I don't really know how to do that. And you also don't have the behavior patterns to be able to sustain what's necessary to get you from 100 to 200, from 200 to 500, right? So like, we're at 200 and I think we did 220 last month. So like, the question is like, how do I get from 220 to 500 and keep the margins relatively the same? And then my goal is to get to $1 million a month. So it's like, if I get from 250, if I go from 200 to 250 and I go from 250 to, let's say, 300, 400, and I go from 400 to 500, the difference jump from 500K to $1 million a month every year. $1 million a month is going to be different. It's going to require me to have a different skill set. It's going to require my time management. I'm going to hire different, to bring new people in. So like, if you're not constantly growing, then your threshold for understanding that is not going to be there. And I say all that to say that this is not going to make sense to the people that are like, dude, I just want leads. This is too much. It's like, fine, you keep doing that. That's great. I love it for you. You can scale your business. There are tons of people who have. I'm just saying that if you're struggling or if you think there's a better way, there is a better way, but you have to be willing to invest. People aren't going to come work for you for cheap. Like, I'm not cheap. My team's not cheap. If you want cheap, go buy leads. If you want cost effective, go buy leads. If you want sustainable, if you want consistent, if you want control, you need to pay somebody to do it. It don't have to be me. I think it should be me because we're really good, but it could go be anybody. Or you just watch all these videos and try to figure it out on your own. You may, honestly, and that's fine too. Because there's so much to go around. You're just running a business. That's why I've never had the mindset of gatekeeping, because at the end of the day, we are all just running businesses. People think that there's new stuff. There is nothing new. It's just everybody's making iterations of previous things. I got this idea from one of my mentors. I saw him do a lot of these. He would get on here and it was really good to me. And I was trying to do all this other stuff. And I'm I'm gonna just do me, because at the end of the day, I want to post every day. And I think that this is my way personally of brain dumping. And if I can share this experience with people who are watching, I think that's great. And I just get to sit here and chat for 30 minutes and kind of talk in my mind through things. And there will be somebody who will probably watch this and say, hey, I think that Agent Lead Lab would be a good fit for me. I might want to work with them. I like Trey. I like his personality. I like what he's saying. It makes sense. I feel like he could take my business to the next level. And if that's you, I would love to work with you. And if that's not you, please take the game, implement it, and go make a ton of money, because I don't have a scarce mindset. There are tons of companies, there's tons of lead vendors, there's tons of everything. Agencies, there's hundreds of millions of people in the world. It's not a big thing to figure out I just like doing what I'm good at. I like explaining what I know works and the concepts that most people probably won't tell you. And not because they don't want to, because they just don't know it. Most people are operating at lead companies or people that are doing lead generation are just operating at such a low, I don't even want to use the word frequency because I'm not into all that, but they think that they think that the world, they don't look at the world from a big grand scheme picture. They look at it from a very narrow lens. And the only way you can expand that is by being exposed. So, and I'm rambling at this point, but I'm getting to a point here that if you believe that the only way to grow is just by buying cheap leads and making a lot of money, that is the only way that you will think about things. If you believe that the only way to grow is by buying really expensive leads, everybody has to know exactly what you're saying. You should never run into objections. That's going to limit you. But if you take in that there's multiple ways to skin a cat, there are numerous ways to grow, but you need to figure out what works for you. Just because this person says that that's their process, if you can find somebody else doing it, then you need to buy into what they're saying. There's people that probably watch me and they're you know what I mean? I want to do this, but my upline, this, and it's okay, bro, but what do you want? Because at the end of the day, I'm telling you, you can go to our website. I'm not gonna waste my time. And we're gonna have more videos on this. Tons of explanations of clients that we've worked with. And there's other people, I'm not going to name drop, but there are some companies. And by the way, I give kudos where kudos is due. There are companies that are absolutely crushing it doing this. They have the power of lead compounding. They have their own internal systems, back-end processes, and kudos to them. Some of them I've mentioned on here. One of them I'm really cool with, and a phenomenal process. And I respect it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I would never talk down on them, because all they're doing is just running a successful business. It's not these leads are better than this person sucks. It's no, they're just running their business a little bit more successful. And that's fine. They're really good at what they do. But that doesn't mean that I have to hate on them, disrespect them, or say that their process isn't going to work. Their process is their process. Mine is leverage. That's what I like to do. I like to think about things through leverage. And if you're an agent or agency owner and you want to get more out of every dollar you put in, you have to do this. I don't care what anybody says. There's no other way. The other way of trying to do it, if you're leasing, is to basically take your aged leads and rework them. But guess what? You're not getting more out of every dollar that you put in, because there's no leverage there, right? With this, there's leverage, because eventually you're going to get to the point where you get in contact with, you have one person who can get more out of what you already put in without you having to spend. You don't have to spend more. It's a fixed cost. You're hiring a staff member. And that staff member, his whole job is just dude, just rework these leads. So now you're basically getting a W-2 employee to just rework leads that just were never worked, because they didn't become leads. They're just reworking engagement. They're taking the current engagement you have and turning it into leads, which then is giving you leverage to be able to close them. And then I would give those leads to my newer agents, because they need reps if they can't afford to pay. So then you have your own system. Then you gather those leads. And then you have those leads. And everything should be just a big circle. But most people think in terms of leasing, just buy leads, buy leads, buy leads, buy leads. It's dude, if you took all the leads that you've ever had and you just gave them back to your agents, you'd have more than they would need to go buy leads. Why would they need to go buy leads? Then you said, hey, you're going to run up on all my beat up leads for the next, 2 months. And then from there, or not for the next 2 months, for like the next 2 weeks, and you're going to take all the money that you made from that, and then you're going to buy your own crappy leads. And you're going to get your teeth kicked in a little bit more. Then you're going to take all the money you made over the past 4 weeks of 2 weeks on mine, 2 weeks on yours, and now we're going to take you to go to the next level. And then we're going to take you to go to the next level. And there's levels, right? Even for me, that's why I started creating and crafting new offers and new leads, because there are levels for where agents at. Everybody can't go from age to high intent. That's what I'm noticing, right? Some people are just doggy. They're just like, yo, I'm a hop. Most people can't, so they get stuck somewhere in the middle. There's a middle ground though. You got to have leads that are in the middle. They're not high intent, but they're also not like super old. You're gonna get a few sales. You don't need to work as many leads. You're just buying your time back slowly. I always talk about this. When you get higher intent leads, you buy your time back. But no matter which one of those you do, excluding aged, if you do anything that's fresh and it's not, you don't own it, you're not getting the power of compounding effect. It's impossible. At least not the way that I've explained it in this video. So as always, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. I make these videos really just to, as I said earlier, to explain my thought process through things, how I view us growing, what I'm seeing that's working and not working. Now that I've decided to go all in on this in regards to, not playing football or anything, I've now learned for myself how this works. Not necessarily for lead compounding, but just for like business growth. For me now, just only being focused on this. So my routine: get up, go to the gym, train. Before that, obviously pray, read my word. I'm a believer. I follow Jesus Christ. So then I come back, I record this for you all, and then I get my day started. Right? I hop in, I do all my reviews of the team. We meet. I start doing all my meetings. We do outreach to clients, and I'm in the process of building my own system, right? Like me growing, because I've always been able to grow, do 100, 120 a month for the past few years, but I've been pretty stagnant because I've been focused on football. This has not been my main thing. Like transparently, it's not been my main thing. It's been something I love. I love business, but football's been my heart since I was a kid. So now I have the ability to grow. The reason I'm telling you that is we're now bringing in partners, and we're getting very serious about growing these partners, right? The price to work with us is going up. I'm being transparent. I'm not trying to be salesy. If you want to figure out what it looks like to work with us, you need to go on the website, book a call. It is going to be a sales call. I'm not going to sit here and just tell you the price when you hop on. That's not how it works. The reason I'm not going to do that is because it's all based on your agency size, your goals, and what you need. We have staff that we can place into your business that will help you grow. We are going to work as your partners. That's it. We're going to help you build your system. We're just going to come in and run it in hopes that you continue to work with us. But there's different forms now. I'm trying to look at potentially if you come in and work, if you are at a certain threshold, we'll work with you for, whatever it is. Because now we're starting to get more people applying who have bigger agencies. Some people doing 800, 900, close to $1 million a month, but they just still want their own internal lead system. It's like, okay, I can charge them now. I can say, you have a bunch of agents. Let me bring you in. Let's partner up. Let's scale together. Let's sign this contract. Let's get things rolling and get your people buying our leads at a discounted rate instead of me making you pay all these fees, etc. So there are a lot of different ways that we're thinking about growing, but nonetheless, regardless of whenever you watch this, if you go to the website, agentleadlab.com, there'll be somewhere on there. Even if we change up the website, you'll be able to book a call. It will have a filtering section where it's going to ask you a bunch of questions. Depending on how you answer those questions will determine if we want to hop on a call. We will review your application, then decide if it's something that we want to move forward with. Purpose of this video is not to sell you. I'm just letting you know if this interests you and if my previous content interests you and you think that you might be a good fit for us to partner and help scale, right? We would love to do that, right? We've helped now 4 agencies go from $250 to $1 million a month. And like I said at the beginning, we've helped over 550 agents issue pay 40K, which I can't wait to hear what that new number is. I'll keep you guys updated because we do them every year. So look forward to seeing what our end result of twins, because that just to be clear, is from our first 3 years. We're going into our fourth year. So we'll have an update for you basically in January of how many agents we've been able to help, right? So yeah, I hope this video helped in some way, shape, or form. And I hope you guys understand now the power of leverage, specifically in lead compounding. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Well, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be traveling, so I may have to do this like early in the morning before I hop, but I want to make sure I do it, or I'll do it whenever I land. So appreciate you guys, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day.